The men rising to the highest office in country after country are not only refusing to douse the flames, they are true planetary arsonists, determined to torch the planet with glee. So in the climate movement, we often talk about how our house is on fire. We're seeing the impacts of climate disruption all around the world. But we are seeing another kind of fire as well, which is the way that some politicians, particularly strong men-style politicians, are using insecurity in order to spread hate. The fires of hatred are spreading from one country to the next. One year ago, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change issued a landmark report about the need to keep warming levels below 1.5 degrees Celsius. And they told us that if we're going to do this, we have just 12 years to cut global emissions by 45%. And in wealthy countries like the United States, we've got to do it a lot faster. Now that was 12 years last year. Now we have just 11. They told us that it is possible to do this with existing technologies, but they also said, and this is a quote, that it would require unprecedented transformation in virtually every aspect of society. But of course, this kind of transformation is hard, and we have a very, very short window to pull it off. And yet, at this same moment, the men rising to the highest office in country after country are not only refusing to douse the flames, they are true planetary arsonists, determined to torch the planet with glee. There's Trump, of course, rolling back every environmental law, cracking open public lands and seas to unrestricted drilling, trolling Greta on Twitter, ogling Greenland because of all the fossil fuels that are made available by melting ice thanks to climate change. But it's not just Trump. It's also Jair Bolsonaro, who ran on a campaign of rolling back indigenous rights and opening up the Amazon to unrestricted extraction and cattle farming and soy farming. And of course, when the impact of that was fires throughout the Amazon, he told the United Nations that the Amazon isn't actually on fire. We are seeing figures like this in country after country. In Australia, there's Scott Morrison, who went into their House of Government wielding a hunk of coal, saying that it was good for humanity, and that's why he planned to allow the largest coal mine in the world to be dug. In India, it's Modi. In the Philippines, it's Duterte. Now, the recipe of all of these strong men is very clear. They have a sharply defined in-group, the people who are, the real citizens of their countries, who they offer protection to. And then there are the out-groups inside their countries and on the borders, the criminal, the illegal, the drug dealer, the frightening other, the terrorist, the diseased, the invader. And so we have these two fires. The fires of climate disruption, these very real fires of climate chaos, the storms, the droughts, the fires, but also the political fires, the fires of hate that are also beginning to rage out of control, jumping from country to country. It's not a coincidence that these strongman figures are coming to power all over the world, because they are tapping into feelings of profound unease and scarcity. But these men are also tapping into our moment of ecological insecurity. And what men like Trump and Bolsonaro know, their one true skill, is making other people's fear work for them. And so they rile up hatred, weaponize desperation, run campaigns based on building walls and stopping pending invasions. And most of all, they sell their respective in-group the illusion that they will finally be secure in our age of rampant insecurity, that they will finally have control once again in this out-of-control world. Now, of course, all of this division leaves these politicians free to get on with the real business at hand, plundering the last protected wilderness on this planet, from the Amazon to the Arctic, which, of course, fuels those planetary fires, the fires that intensify armed conflicts, which also fuels migration, which in turn is used to fuel the fires of hate. But here's why we can't give in to terror and despair. We do not live in a time of just two fires, the climate fires and these political fires. There is a third fire, and it is also blazing. It is our fire. We see it in the fires of the youth climate strikers, spreading around the world, 7 million people participating in over 8 days. Ours are the fires of the indigenous rights movements putting bodies on the line, as they have always done, to stop new oil and gas pipelines on both sides of the border here in North America. Ours are also the fires of the fossil fuel divestment movement. A few weeks ago, the University of California system, which has an $80 billion portfolio, announced that it would be divesting from fossil fuels. And ours are the fires of the climate justice movement itself, led by racialized frontline communities fighting dirty industries in their backyards that have worked for so many years to create the political opening that is now being called the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is a vision that is our best and only chance of putting out those other two fires, the political fires and the climate fires, simultaneously. It is guided by science, but also it is about weaving together the need to lower our emissions with the universal right to health care, to affordable housing, to child care. And it is about addressing the underlying precarity that is creating such flammable kindling for demagogues around the world. So I'll leave you with the words of the young climate strikers in the UK. They say, Greta was the spark, but we are the wildfire. Be the wildfire.